All right, guys. Ben, will you turn around? Today we are talking about proportions, okay? And proportions are really just equivalent ratios, which is a fancy name for fraction, okay? So proportions have some special properties, and I'm going to have you write this maybe just up at the top, okay, wherever you've got some space. That in a proportion is two equivalent fractions. So something like this. There's something called the cross products property. Now you don't have to know the name of that, okay? You just have to know what it does. But in a proportion, if two fractions are truly equal, when you multiply a cross like this, like an x, the two products, meaning the two answers that you get, should be equal to each other. So if I multiply a times d, whatever numbers those happen to be, that should equal b times c. Okay, that's called the cross products property. Okay. So this first section says state if each pair of ratios form a proportion. And so ultimately your answer is going to be a yes or a no, but you do have to write down why it's a yes or a no. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's see. I'm going to start with one. Let's start with number 4. Okay? So I want to know, do they form a proportion, which means I want to know, are these two fractions equal to each other? Hold on, because here's how you have to show me. Here's how you check. You're going to write down 4 times 6. What is 4 times 6? 24. And then you're going to multiply this way. 8 times 3, which is 24. You must have that written down to justify your answer. Okay? You must have that written down to justify your answer. Okay? So, like I said, I know that you can see some other patterns and some other relationships, but because I know what we're going into with this, you've got to do it this way. Okay? Because these are the same, we would say yes. Okay? So that's what you're doing for this section. Again, don't work ahead of me. Okay? We're only doing a select few from this packet. So let's go to, let's say, back to number 1. If I multiply number 1, 4 times 6 is 24. And then I multiply across this way. 2 times 20 is 40. So do these form a proportion? No. So you would look at those two. They're not the same. So I would say no. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. So if you look down at like 7, 8, 9, and 10, these are asking you to solve. And anytime you see in the directions that you're being asked to solve something, that means I want to know, what does x equal? So I want to find...
I got a question.
Yep.
Does it want us to make it a proportion?
Yes. It's telling you that we want this to be a proportion, but I want to know what would x have to be, or k, or whatever the variable is, to find out what that would have to be. I'm starting you with easy ones. You must write it out this way. Okay? We know that the cross products need to be equal. So we know that 10 times 4 has to equal 8 times k. So what I'm going to write down is I know 10 times 4 has to equal 8k. And I guess if you wanted to, you could have just written 40. You don't have to write 10 times 4 and then write 40. You could have just done this. 40 equals 8k. And then what would I do to solve that? Divide by 8, right? Divide by 8, divide by 8. And I end up with k equals 5. Okay? But I need to see it written as an equation. Okay? You can't just... because some people have learned like to cross multiply and then divide all in one step. You've got to write it as an equation. Because easy ones like this, that works for, but when we get into some of the more complicated ones, that's not going to work anymore. Let's pick another one. What do you feel like? One of these four. 8? Okay. So for 8, I would do 10 times 10 is 100. And that has to equal m times 3, which I'm going to write as 3m. Some of you may be tempted to write that as m3. Make sure you're always putting the number first. Then how would I solve that? Divide by 3. Say it again, Will? Yep. You are going to get some decimals on some of these. 33.3 repeating. Okay? Questions on that before we flip to the next page and do a few there? Okay. Let's go to the back. Let's pick 2 off this page. Rebecca.
Number
13.
13.
Good. Glad you picked that one. Okay, 13. If I multiply 8 times 8, that gives me what? 64. What happens when I multiply 3 times 8n?
24.
24n. Yep. 3 times 8 is 24, but that has an n attached, so that's going to be 24n. But this is one where your cross multiply and divide trick would not have worked, okay, to get your final answer. And then what do I do from here? Yep, divide. Ben, do you have an answer? Oh, okay. Will, I think, has it. What is it, Will?
2.6 repeating and then 7.
Okay. That really is 2.6 repeating. Your calculator just rounds it up to a 7. Okay. Somebody pick one more from this page. Ben.
Number
21. Okay. V over 12 equals 10 over 2. So which 2 numbers am I going to multiply? Alex, which 2 numbers am I going to multiply first? Okay, so let's do 10 and 12, which is 120. And then I would say that that equals what? Jared, what do you think? What would that equal? 2V. Good. Equals 2V. Do you see, by the way, why I gave you the warm-up problems that I did? Okay. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. 120 divided by 2 is 60. So my final answer is 60. Okay. Good?
Wait,
Or V equals 60. Either way is fine. Okay. Okay, let's flip to that back page. Let's look at some of those. Okay? I knew where this was going. That's why I made you write it that way. Ben, what do you want to do? 13? Okay. 13. Oh. You know what? We will do number 13. Let's do one of the other ones first. Okay. How about, let's just do number 1. Well, number 2, because my mental math will be easier. Okay, number 2. If I were to do number 2, which 2 numbers can I multiply right off the bat? Darian? Okay, so 10 and 2 makes 20. And then over here, I'm going to write this as 5 times 5 plus x. Does that look familiar to you? That setup? All right. What do I do now to solve this?
I got you.
Go ahead, Darian. Tell me what to do.
You do 5 times 5.
Okay. Okay. And then I would also do the 5 times. Okay. So I would end up with 20 equals 25 plus 5x. Okay. My next step, Hunter, where do you think I would go next? If I'm trying to get x by itself, what number do you want to move?
5.
Okay, but before I move the 5, let's move the...
25.
And how do you want to do it? If that's addition,
Oh, track.
subtract. So let's subtract 25. subtract 25. So we end up with negative 5 equals 5x. Okay. Polina, what do I do last? By negative 5? By positive 5. I'm dividing by what's with the x. So let's divide by 5. Divide by 5, yep. And negative 1 equals x. Okay. Let's pick another one that looks like that one.
13.
We will do 13.
11.
11? Okay, let's do 11. Okay, 11. Okay, let's multiply which two numbers right off the bat? Jared, which two numbers am I multiplying right away? Good, 6 and 24. Is that 144? Someone help me with that. 144, thank you, Ian. So 144 equals, and how do I write the other side? Go ahead, Darian.
18, 22,
Yep,
x.
good. Okay, so I'm still writing these two multiplied by each other. But now how do I deal with this? Ben, what do you want to do first here?
Do 18 times x, which is 18x.
Okay, and then
18 times 5
Good.
is, I have no idea.
90. Yep, thank you. So 144 equals 18 times x is 18x, and then 18 times 5 is 90. Okay. Javante, what do you want to do now to solve that? Okay, subtract the 90. Subtract the 90. What is it, Alexis?
54.
Thank you. So 54 equals 18x. And then your last step would be division. Good. Yep. Okay. One more. Let's do number 13. Because that one might be freaking you out a little bit. Okay. 13. Well, I'll start it here, and if I need more space, I'll go someplace else. Okay. So, which two can I multiply right off the bat? Hunter, what do you think? Which two am I multiplying right off the bat for 13?
10 and 5.
Thank you. 10 and 5. So that's going to be 50 equals, how do I write the other side, Ben?
2 and the x plus
Okay, 2 parentheses x plus x. Let's make our life a little easier.
You just combine them with
Okay, not 4x. Well, it will be 4x in a minute. What is x plus x? 2x. So I could have written this as 50 equals 2 times 2x. And then, Darian, what is 2 times 2x? 4x, yeah. So this really is not as hard as it looked. 2 times 2x is 4x. Okay, yep. And then divide by 4 on each side. Divide by 4. Say it again, 12.5? Okay, so 12.5 equals x. Okay? How's that? Okay. Your homework assignment is the rest of this packet.
What?
Seriously.
Yeah, right.
What?
No,
Yeah,
it's
right.
my birthday.
Shut the
Okay.
front door.
Oh, come on. You've got
What's that?
25 minutes.
So we can do
And that whole front page is super easy.
Save it.
But I do want to see your equations written out.
I always
Okay.
get yelled at for not having anything
Darian?
to do.
Well, you're going to get yelled at in here for not having anything to do. So
Why do I get yelled at?
get to work. Okay.